Welcome to 4C Radio. We are broadcasting from the Christ University Central Campus, Bangalore. 4C Radio is brought to you by the Department of Media Studies, Christ University. For all who are looking for a platform that focuses on communities, commons, climate, and communication, this is the place to be. What's more, this station is run by a diverse community of students and dedicated faculty members. From the hallowed grounds of Wimbledon and the Oval to Bengaluru's own Chinnaswamy Stadium and even lawns in IT parks and homes, grass is everywhere in our cities and lives. But behind the lush green lies a hidden story of colonial history, monocultures, and ecological costs. In this episode, we unpack the environmental impact of lawns and sports fields and whether natural or synthetic turf is truly sustainable.
Hi everyone, I'm your host Kailash and welcome to Cli-myth Busters. This is your go-to show where we separate fact from fiction about climate, our environment, and everything that's connected between them. We are broadcasting straight from our 4C radio headquarters at Christ University, Bangalore. On this episode, we will find out if grass is really greener or if the same green grass is adding to our climate woes. The centre court of Wimbledon, the hallowed cricket grounds of Oval, Melbourne Cricket Club, and our own Chinnaswamy Stadium. And closer to home, the upcoming grass football field at Christ University. Green spaces that invite all kinds of sports enthusiasts. Let's not forget the grass on the golf courses, manicured lawns in Bangalore's IT parks, and the quintessential lawns in front of houses. Be it sports or urban architectural aesthetics, grass has become a common feature. But just because it looks green, we can't assume it's good for the environment. What are the invisible environmental costs of having green fields? Let's examine if natural grass in urban infrastructure and the synthetic alternatives mostly used in sports fields are any good at all. Lawns were and are symbols of power, status, and wealth. Introduced during colonialism by the British to replicate the manicured estates of European aristocracy in the conquered lands that they had come to. This practice involved importing non native grass species, displacing the local flora, and creating ecologically sterile monoculture environments that mirrored the broader colonial project of imposing foreign control and culture. Now, the same reasons are behind the lawns of American homes. Remember, the colonizers were trying to recreate what they had done in England. The land which belonged to the commons and the commoners were enclosed, fenced, and barricaded by the rich as private property and enslaved the same common people to maintain their private lawns. We need to remember the very origin of grass in lawns emerges not from the love of nature, but from the greed for power and certainly a false sense of aesthetics. Natural grass seems like the more green choice, but growing and maintaining lawns in cities on athletic fields comes with its own environmental costs. The most obvious is the replacement of local varieties of grass by non native commercial species. Keeping grass green requires a lot of water, especially in dry or hot climates. This is a major strain in India, with water scarcity being a perennial issue. Turf, which requires regular watering, and certainly some sports field, the watering demands are really huge. Overuse of water for such spaces contributes to stress on local water supplies. These issues are seen more in sports arenas built for cricket or football. Natural grass is seen as beneficial for athletes as it is softer than concrete and allows for a more natural playing field. But again, at what cost? Remember how the High Court ordered the reallocation of IPL cricket matches in Maharashtra as the state was facing severe drought and the court saw ground maintenance as a criminal wastage of water. Watering the grass is just the start. To keep grass uniform, weed-free, and healthy for heavy use in sports or other uses, chemical fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides are often used. These can leach into the soil and pollute the groundwater. There have been instances of algae blooms in water bodies near large lawns as the fertilizers enter these water bodies and disrupt the aquatic ecosystems. The US uses more synthetic fertilizers on its lawns than India uses on all its crops. Grass, although natural, certainly isn't free of chemicals. And now for the maintenance of grass. Lawn mowers, most often powered by fossil fuels, leaf blowers, and the frequent trimming, all of these consume energy and emit carbon dioxide and other pollutants. The more manicured the lawn, the more maintenance and obviously more emissions. The specific varieties of grass used for lawns and sports are not local indigenous varieties but highly engineered species of grass. The introduction of the same in new biomes will certainly affect the local biodiversity. These specialized varieties rarely flower, do not support the insects, choke soil microbiomes, and ironically colonize local plants. Compared to a meadow or a more wild or native vegetation, lawns are very poor in supporting biodiversity. Studies suggest that lawn management costs and environmental impacts may outweigh their benefits, especially when compared to less intensively managed green spaces such as grazing fields and meadows. As rational humans of modernity, once we saw that natural grass has such detrimental effects, we did the most 20th century thing we can. We shifted to synthetic grass or artificial turf. On paper, it seems appealing: lower water use, less mowing, more resilient to heavy use. But synthetic lawns introduce a whole different set of environmental issues. Artificial turf is made from synthetic polymers, plastics like polyethylene, polypropylene, rubber infill, and synthetic backings. The production process is energy intensive and involves fossil fuels for both producing the plastic and to run the machines that create the turf. These materials often include or leach harmful substances, heavy metals, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and volatile organic compounds. These can be harmful to human health and overall ecosystems. Synthetic turf retains and reflects heat much more than natural grass. Studies have found that artificial surfaces can be significantly hotter than natural grass in adjacent fields under the same conditions. This increases local temperature, worsening the urban heat island effect. Synthetic surfaces are also often less permeable. Water infiltration is reduced, runoff is higher, which means more water flows into stormwater drains and into our water cycles. Not to mention the constant supplies of microplastics into our already polluted water systems. Given these environmental downsides, what are the possible alternatives or mitigation strategies? First, as a personal note, I think we should all just stop playing golf. More serious stuff. Using a native or a drought tolerant grass instead of exotic turf varieties will help preserve local indigenous ecosystems. These species might require less chemicals, less synthetic fertilizers, and certainly reduced herbicides and pesticides. While designing sports fields and urban green spaces and using artificial turf, we need to innovate more with permeable substances that allow for water infiltration and reduce runoff. In urban design and architecture, we can look at mixed landscapes, combining lawns with meadows, trees, shrubs, while creating buffer zones using more natural vegetation. So, lawns and turf may seem like benign green decorations in our cities and are a necessity on the sports fields, but they carry a hefty environmental cost: water use, chemical runoff, heat, pollution, and plastic waste. Sometimes, less green, more diverse landscapes and smarter materials can produce a greener outcome in the long term. Maybe It's time to convert all the golf courses into Maidans. So, there you have it. That's our verdict. And that's it for today's episode of Cli-myth Busters. I hope we busted some misconception and sparked some new thoughts. Share your thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends and family. And remember, question everything, especially when it comes to climate change. This is Kailash signing off. See you next time on Cli-myth Busters.
And that brings us to the end of this episode on 4C Radio. Maybe next time we stop to admire lush, green, perfectly manicured grass in a garden or a lawn, we should ask if it is really sustainable and is it needed in the first place. This episode was edited by Srinivas Aditya, illustrated by Vernika Singh. Please write to us and follow 4C Radio on Instagram and Twitter. Reach out to us through the official handles of the 4C Media Hub. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep tuning in.